And welcome everybody to the British summer. Lots of sun, unbelievably warm, no rain. British Grand Prix of 2020, race number 4. And what a fantastic race we had. I'm joined as always by the fantastic, the effervescent Fabio. Uh,
Hey,
yeah, I like to get the illiteracy in there if I can.
yeah,
Did I say illiteracy or illiteracy? I don't know, whichever the word is. Nonetheless, it was a fantastic race. A brilliant pole by none other than the wonderful and headed towards, we hope, 7 times world champion Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton, would like to say his name twice. So good we call him his name twice. Off the line, he got a brilliant getaway from pole position. Bottas into second place, and a fantastic move by Verstappen, who was initially overtaken by Leclerc, but the pacey pastry, but managed to get it back with a fantastic drive out of turn 2. So, and then it was Leclerc and the two McLarens fighting for best of the rest. And it was pretty much like that for the rest of the race. I mean, not a lot happened. Lap 2 went by, lap 3 went by, lap 4 went by, lap 5 went by, lap 6 went by. This is going to take a lot of time because there were 52 laps. But to cut out short, there was a couple of crashes. Magnussen had a little crash as Albon had an optimistic move in what isn't normally an overtaking place, and unfortunately looked for a hole which really was there, but it just shouldn't have been taken. Inexperience, and that really pushed Albon down, and also put Magnussen out of the race, which was a shame because Haas was having a pretty good race. Nonetheless, we moved on. Kvyat made a mistake. What can you say? I think he really was beating himself up a lot. But it turned out later that it was a deflation in the right rear tyre, and that sent him off, spinning into the barrier at 150 miles an hour. So quite a nasty crash, but fortunately he had adrenaline going for him, and he got away with that. Then, of course, there were the pit stops under the obligatory safety car at Silverstone, and the Mercedes double stacked. That was about lap 19, somewhere around there. And that was fantastic pit work by Mercedes to get both their cars out front again, followed by Verstappen, Leclerc, and I think then there was maybe Grosjean, who didn't pit, took the opportunity to try and take an alternative strategy, which was a brave move. And then, of course, led by the two McLarens, other than Daniel Ricciardo, who was trying to get in amongst them and gave it a really solid race, I thought. He looked like back to his, give him half a car and he'll drive half a race for you. Give him a whole car, he'll drive the whole race for you. That's the kind of driver he is. And he had a car, so he drove the whole race. And boy, did he drive. He did very well, considering. A couple of notables were, maybe the desperate driving of a certain red number 5 car, which I thought was a little shoddy at places. And, to be fair to Sebastian Vettel, he did try, but only on the desperation end. His car just wasn't up to the same standards. He'd had a dreadful weekend in setup and all of that. So he didn't have a lot to do. Anyway, then there were tyre problems then. People started suffering tyre problems. Raikkonen, who else was there? Yeah, Raikkonen was the first that I kind of noticed on lap 48, right towards the end. And again, always with the front left. This is always the front left. And then Stroll and Gasly having a bit of a ding-dong. Gasly drove very well this race. First race this season, I think he's actually driven above himself. So well done to Gasly. Lap 50 comes round, and everybody's tyres are running out. And then Bottas, unfortunately, loses his tyre. I'm not sure exactly why he lost the tyre, but extreme wear would be my kind of thing. He was overtaken by Verstappen, and of course he had to then pit. But by the time, because of where the tyre went, which was just after the pits, he had to drive virtually a whole lap with a deflated tyre, which basically meant he was in the pits and went down to, I think he finished in 11th place, which was very unfortunate for him, and I thought very unlucky considering he drove pretty well. Verstappen then decided to pit to try and get fastest lap. He put on some soft tyres and went for it. Then one of the McLarens then also had a front left tyre let go, unbelievably. And of course, that was on lap 51. And then lap 52, the race leader, unbelievably, Lewis Hamilton had a tyre deflation, the same front left tyre. This happened to 5 drivers. Unbelievably. Fortunately for Lewis, it was on the last lap, and I can't believe it happened to Lewis because he looks after his tyres so well. But it did happen to him, and so he basically hooned it round the rest of the lap, maybe 3/4 of the lap, with a deflated front left tyre, and I mean, really stuck it. He wasn't holding back. And fortunately, he just managed to win the race by probably 8 seconds, maybe less than that. I don't know. 10 seconds, something like that. And yes, he won his 7th British Grand Prix, which we hope is the omen for winning the race. Followed home then by Verstappen, brilliant second place, just 5.8 seconds, I think it was actually. Now I'm recalling it. I'm thinking a bit more clearly now. And then Leclerc finished in 3rd place. A brilliant race from him.
Yes.
Bottas finishing in 11th, which was very unfortunate considering. So it was no points for Bottas, maximum points for Hamilton. And that was basically the race. So, a fantastic race. Very exciting at the end there. It could have gone either way. The race order: Lewis, Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, Norris, and then I just can't quite remember who was next. Norris. Esteban Ocon, Gasly, Albon in 8th place, which was a really good comeback for him. Lance Stroll in 9th, the top. And I can't stress this highly enough. The top pink Mercedes, driven by Lance Stroll, for all those naysayers out there. I mean, he thoroughly beat his teammate. He beat his teammate by probably the biggest margin I've ever seen a teammate beaten by, which in this case was 52 laps. And then Sebastian Vettel just creeping in for 1 point. And again, I got all credit to Sebastian Vettel here. He must have been really depressed all race, but he drove like a champ, right? He drove for that 1 point, and you can't say more than that. That is dedication to the team, anyway.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. That was my race recap, and I just want to pass you over to Fabio for some race comment now. What was your highlight?
I haven't heard the words "lucky boy." I haven't heard that in your recap.
So. No, he was unlucky because he had a tyre blow on him, and he's normally so brilliant at keeping tyres.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So no lucky boy there. Okay.
No, nothing lucky there.
Nothing lucky. Yeah.
No, he was lucky because he drove 3/4 of a lap with a deflated tyre, but he didn't hold back. Right. That's what amazed me. I mean, he could have done a whole number of things. He could have backed off and just gone, okay, look, I'm just going to get this home safely. But he went for the race win. He actually drove it as hard as he could with three wheels on the wagon, so to speak. And all credit.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, all credit to him for doing that because he only won by 6 seconds. So He took a big risk, really. I thought it would have been a very big risk, but there you go. He was damn lucky in the respect of that it didn't go a lap earlier, like Bottas, or Raikkonen, or whoever else lost their tire. And he was damn lucky that it happened that late because Verstappen had to pit for the fastest lap, which seemed like the best tactic at the time, right? So that was, again, I think he was very lucky on 2 counts, really. There, go on, go ahead. Now I've said the word lucky.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not many times, but I think that what happened is that the team tried all its best to fuck up his race. I mean, they managed to fuck up Bottas' race. I mean, but Bottas is totally inconsequential. We saw him at the first corner after the start. He had all the space he wanted to pass Lewis, and he just didn't, because he's a pussy. And so they tried to fuck up everybody else, and the team almost managed to ruin both the drivers' races. They only achieved 50% of the results, because they let them drive with tires which were worn out. The front left tire just basically delaminated. It was wear and tear, and it's one of the most stressed tire in Silverstone. It's always the tire which is on the outside in the fast corners.
Yeah.
And I mean, they had this brilliant idea of driving the tire 10% more than the suggested tire expectancy life, and it happened what it was quite expected to be happen. I think that the other guy, which is eating his nails up to the shoulder, is Verstappen, because they changed his tires because they wanted him to catch the fastest lap. If they didn't, he would have won the race.
Yeah.
So and I mean, Lewis drove a fantastic race, but still maintain the fact that it was extremely lucky, because it didn't lose everything as Bottas did. His team tried all. I mean, they played all the cards in order for him to lose the race. And there is also the fact that he won by, I think, 5.8 seconds. And that 0.8 is really, really weird, because so there were talks about making a protest because he was driving with an unsafe car on the track. And the protest that was talked about was that he should have gone in the pit lane, instead of going through the checkered flag. Now the reason I think that protest never made was that the best that they could give him was 5 seconds, and he would have still won the race for 0.8 of a second. Now the thing which cracks me up is that if the team called him back in the pit lane, he would have won the race anyway, because the finish line is just the 80 kilometers speed limit. So it is big. So he would have won anyway, and everybody would have been happy. But again, 0.8 of a second, not worth making the protest, because he would have won anyway. So I mean, the guy is brilliant. There is no denying that. But Jesus Christ, I mean, there is nothing which goes wrong with it.
Well, I mean, plenty goes wrong, but I agree that he was lucky in a whole number of ways. I think maybe he got a better start than Bottas, so maybe you're being a bit harsh on him at the beginning.
No, actually, if you see the start from the helicopter, actually Bottas had a way better start than he did. He was on his rear tire before the braking zone of the first corner, and the first corner is a corner that, because of the start, you just make it full throttle, and he just lifted the gas. And by the way, is lifting the gas damaged Leclerc? Because at the second corner, Leclerc found himself on the tail of Bottas. And Hamilton managed to pass him. And Verstappen managed to pass him to the right. So that was because Bottas just lifted. So that was. I mean, I saw the start and say, okay, I know where this is going. They're not even trying. It's just. But I mean, anyway. I mean, we you remember how I define Bottas as the
Yes,
the greater,
I still think you're being a little bit harsh, but yes, I understand. But I don't blame them. I'm not, for all the years I've watched Ferrari have a number one driver. I'm not going to say anything. If either and not just Ferrari, of course, Red Bull as well had Verstappen as the number one.
No, this is fair. I mean, I'm not saying anything which is okay. So if you want, I can be even more specific. Bottas is the Barrichello of Mercedes.
Yes,
right? Yes. Fair enough. So it's the same thing as Barrichello was when Schumacher was in Ferrari. It's Barrichello of Hamilton. That's it. I mean, you should know about it. He has a big fat check at the end of the year.
Right. He does.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, so as long as he's happy, everybody's happy. But that will not stop you from calling him, not even a second driver, just a butler, So
okay.
But anyway, I love the race. I love what happened from the 4th place up to the 8th during almost all the race. That pack of Racing Point, the Center Point, and there were the McLarens, the Renault. At the end, Gasly tried to step in. I mean, that was really, really good racing. I love that part. Everybody was trying his best. I loved how Haas tried to make something different again, like last race.
Again, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
They were expecting. I mean, to be fair, they were expecting another safety car or another virtual safety or whatever. I mean, and they put themselves in a position such as that if another safety car would have come in, they would have gone to points like super easily with a good drive by Grosjean. So
100%.
I love that. I mean, what else? I mean, the Alphas are really terrible. Perez got COVID, and Hülkenberg tried to take his seat, but apparently, I mean, he said he suffered from probably with the pain with the neck and all that stuff, and apparently he didn't even start because of engine problems.
No, that sounds dodgy to me. That sounded dodgy at the time to me.
Right, I agree with you.
So and when I first heard it, I heard he might have a problem with his neck. That's what I heard early in the morning, and then later on it was the engine wouldn't start. So I was like, okay, well, fair enough. Again, I mean, you got to give Stroll credit for beating his teammate here by 52 laps. I think he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that often.
Even if the Racing Point had a very weird race, I'm waiting for the next race to see how they do. Because I think we said at the beginning of the seasons that one of the problems with Racing Point would have been because they have a very strong package. I don't know how they're going to develop that package, right? I was predicting, a problem with developing, and maybe McLaren and Renault, the midfield cars would have gone forward in the race, and Ferrari, because now it's a midfield car, would have gone forward. I don't know if we've seen the first cracks in the Racing Point machine. I think it's a little bit too early, but I've got to see the following race. I mean, again, because they had spectacular performances at the beginning of the races, of the first race, and if now they start crawling back, it would be only because of the lack of improvements.
Yeah.
Of
Again,
development.
firstly, that's got to be some of it. That the other teams are making upgrades and they don't have any upgrades to make because they can't upgrade what is ostensibly a good car.
Well, they
But
can't
I would.
upgrade what is not their car. That's
Hmm.
another problem.
Sure, but I would say that if we remember to last year's Ferrari, it also suffered in these conditions. Last year's Mercedes, it suffered in the hot conditions with tyre wear and following
Yeah,
other
yeah.
cars, especially following other cars.
No, you're
And
right.
of
You're
course,
right.
that's what the pink Mercedes is going to do. It's going to follow a lot of cars because it's a midfield team, so they're always going to have problems with their tyres. Now,
No, no, no.
Mercedes could get round that, of course, by leading and using their downforce, etc., to try and save their tyres as much as possible. The pink Mercedes just can't do that. It's just not possible for it to do that. So, if it gets out front and it gets into a nice little space, it's going to do well. If it doesn't and it's hot, the two things the Mercedes do not like, then it's going to lose power and it's going to wear its tyres. If it gets behind somebody for too long, the front end's going to go.
I,
So, yeah.
I agree. I agree with you. I mean, that's why I said, we got to watch. I got to watch the next races to see
Yeah.
if that's a pattern, or if just a problem of following other cars. Because I mean, and we would see that basically during qualifying and all that shit. So that we'll
Well,
see. We'll see.
yeah. I mean, again, for me, it's rear tires or front tires. I mean, rear tires because it's too hot, front tires because it's following cars. Okay, and overheating engines are low power. Right, and those are the three things it demonstrated all weekend. Right, so I'm a little bit wary now of saying, oh yeah, well they just copied last year's Mercedes. What a brilliant idea! I'm actually like, well, no, thinking about it, that car had a lot of issues, right? And Mercedes managed to hide them very well by having drivers which were A, out front, and B, Lewis, who is very good at saving tires. Right, so and Valtteri's good at doing it as well. Don't get me wrong; he's not on the level that Lewis is. So their two drivers are very good at saving tires, and so they played to the weakness of the Mercedes, I think, and that was ostensibly why they had such an easy ride last year, and why that particular car had an easy ride. Plus, who's to say they haven't already changed the brake ducts in anticipation, and that's causing problems this race? So.
Well, that wouldn't have no effect on the protest, which I think it should be resolved
Agreed.
before
Uh,
next race.
sure. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is if they've changed the brakes, so they
Mm.
only get deducted for the one race,
Yeah.
right? That's my point. And who's to say they haven't done that? Who's to say they haven't changed the internal structure of the brakes to make sure that when the protest comes back, and if they're found guilty, right, then they've only get deducted points for the one race, because that's the only race that they use those brakes on. And if they don't get found guilty, then they slap the other brakes back on and away we go again. And there'll be a sudden increase in form in that Mercedes. But we'll see. We'll just have to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
My suspicion is it's hot weather and poor tyres on the circuit, which clearly was ripping the tyres up for every So
I think that the tires behave the way they're supposed to behave. There was no complaints. I mean, the tires behaved. The delta between the various compounds was exactly what was predicted, and as far as the tire were used in the range that was specified, they were pretty good. I mean, I've always been a fan of tires that destroy themselves.
yeah.
So
Tell me about it.
I mean, if Pirelli says, okay, this tire is good for, I don't know, 30 laps, and you make 35, if it explodes, fuck you. I mean, I told you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, well, it was.
Well, they said it was good for like 40 odd laps, though.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
They went ahead, I think, 10% more than what was suggested. So, at least that's the number which I remember.
Okay.
And,
they pitted on lap 19, so they only did 31 laps or something like that. 32 laps. So they were supposed to go 40. according to
Uh,
Pirelli. So that was well under what Pirelli actually said they would do.
I'm not sure about that. I will double check. I'm pretty positive I heard. What's the name of the guy?
Maximiliano.
No, yeah. Oh fuck. Well, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure.
Maximo, something or another.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I heard the guy after the race, stating, the expectancy of, the tires and
after the race. That's easy to do, isn't it? Oh yeah,
well,
I think they're going to blow up around 32 laps.
No. Those were the same numbers that they provided.
Yeah.
So if you remember at the beginning of the race, they had the expected change of the tires and blah 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 stuff. I mean, keep in mind that they all changed the tires because of the safety car.
Yeah, 100%.
So they went longer with the car.
Well, anyway. in the commentary, Martin Brundle said, basically they should do 40 odd laps. So.
Okay, yeah, because Martin Brundle it works in Pirelli. Okay, now I see where you're going to.
Yeah. Well, Martin Brundle is Martin Brundle. Okay, I mean he's let's not. I don't want to diss the Brundle. Okay,
that statement can be used in so many ways. Brundle is Martin Brundle. No,
not at all. He has been the backbone of Formula One since Murray left. I mean, I've got to say this as well, just as a personal thing. Martin Brundle is nothing but a genius as far as I'm concerned, because he extended Murray's career by at least 3 or 4 years with his fantastic commentary and support for Murray Walker. And that's 3 or 4 years of extra of Murray that we wouldn't have had if anybody else had come in other than Martin. So I want to say a big shout out to Martin Brundle, who is a fantastic. I mean, he's a pretty good race driver, but he is a fantastic commentator.
It is super funny because what you say can be interpreted so badly. It's because Martin Brundle was there that the other guy was forced to be there for at least 2 or 3 years because the other guy was so bad. He said, "Don't leave, please stay here."
Sure, yeah, but no, Murray was getting old and he should have retired earlier than he did. But thanks to Martin and thanks to Martin's support, he allowed Murray to just carry on and be Murray and, and be a fantastic commentator like you. Some of the quotes the Murray quotes are famous, right? You know what I mean? But if you look at pre-Martin Brundle, I mean, James Hunt quotes with Murray are fantastic. Don't get me wrong, because James was straight to the point. No, Murray, you're fucking wrong. But the Murray Brundle quotes from Murray Walker, the Murray Walker quotes from the Martin Brundle era are just pure genius. All right, such things as let me think of one. Everything's fair in love and war, and this is revolution. I mean, that's just genius for a commentator, I've got to say.
There is only 2 persons that I really would love to see making a commentary on F1 race. I mean, you can have any journalist, which makes the main commentary, but there are only 2 people that I want to see close to that guy. One is Davide Valsecchi.
Very good.
And the other one is Jacques Villeneuve. Those are the only 2 ones that I would really, really, really love to see.
Right. Well, I have to disagree because, of course, Murray Walker is the all-time F1 commentator for me. Just
no. I'm not saying as a main commentator.
Yeah. I see. Yeah, as the expert with him. Yeah.
Right. Those are the 2 people I want to see every fucking time.
Okay. Yeah. I would say James Hunt as well. James was pretty brilliant.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm talking about today, right? I mean,
fair enough, yeah.
Right.
And of course, you put those with anybody of Murray's character, then obviously you're talking genius. But I mean, what was and here comes Nigel Mansell leading the race. Well, he would be leading if he was in first place.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. How about, and he leads by 4.53 seconds, 5.384 seconds, approximately. Just what? Oh, just lovely
Anyway,
stuff. I miss Murray. Okay,
yeah,
back to the
that's the
race.
thing. So again, Lewis was very lucky, and all the luck
Lucky
that
boy.
he had. Well, yeah, lucky boy.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a Red Bull quote. I mean, it's not me, of course.
Mhm.
But it seems to me that everybody else got fucked up. Bottas is the first one comes to mind. Sainz
Totally
is the
screwed.
other. Well,
Sainz,
yeah,
he drove a great race.
Sainz drove a fantastic race,
Yeah, yeah.
an amazing race. It was ahead of Norris comfortably when they was time to push because Ricciardo was coming on
Hmm.
his back. He just delivered. I mean, he drove an amazing race,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And the other guy which drove an amazing race, given the material, I think it's Leclerc. I mean, starting from the qualifying up to the race, he just drove a fantastic race. And keep in mind that Charles was told to drive a slow race. They told him, listen, this is the pace we have to take. Just slow down, keep it slow. And it was, well, part of it is because of the car, of course.
Oh, shit. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. I'm sorry about that. There seemed to have been a glitch. Somebody was talking about Charles Leclerc, the pacey pastry, too much, and I had to kick him out of the hangout. Yeah, whatever. He's not even proper Italian. I don't know why you get so excited about him.
I'm not excited because he's not Italian. I'm excited because he's a fantastic driver.
Yeah, he's a kid. He'll crash it next week, just as likely win the race.
Right.
No, I'm joking, of course. Yes, he did. He drove a fantastic race to third place, which is far beyond what that car should be doing.
Yes.
I don't like it because Vettel, is a good driver,
Yeah.
and there's no reason why he should be languishing down there. There's just no reason, right? Other than he's not getting the same car. You know what I mean?
No,
So,
I honestly think that Vettel is just can't wait for the season to end.
well, yeah, but that's not like him. He
I
hung
know.
on.
Yeah,
It's
but
just not like him to do that, and so there's got to be something else at play here.
well, listen. The way I see it, right, is
Mm,
Vettel knows that he hasn't got a car that he can win races with.
yeah.
And he's the guy which already won 4 world championship. I'm sure that he has offers for next year,
Oh
and
yeah.
he doesn't want to pull it off with a car that he knows. Well, I mean, if he drives really amazingly, he gets what, fifth, sixth, stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think he's super committed. Yes, I mean, I'm not saying that he's.
I can't get that. I can't get that. Not
Listen,
super committed.
I'm not saying that he's lazy because when he got to the end of the race, he had to keep Bottas behind for 1 point, and he did it. So I mean, the guy can absolutely fucking drive. I'm just saying that maybe in his mind, say, okay, why should I risk everything with a car that doesn't allow me to be where I'm supposed to be? And I kind of get the guy. I mean, I can't really
Yeah.
blame the guy. While for Leclerc, it is different. He has to do that kind of things. Because he's the new guy. He is going to be the reference point for Ferrari. So he's got to prove that
Yeah.
he's way more committed than what you should usually be with a car like that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'll accept that. It just seems to me a bit. If it goes on for the rest of the season like this, then something's up. That's all I'm saying. Something is up. But I mean, what that is, I don't know. Would Ferrari not give, or would they give Vettel a less highly tuned car with less power to make sure he finishes races, but he doesn't look good?
Well,
Is that possible? Is that even possible for them to do that?
I don't think it is, and I explain to you why. The reason why I don't think it is possible is because they would have way more to lose than to gain acting like that. They have a car. They have to try to develop that car I mean, every race. You can't try the car anymore. There are no private tests. There is nothing. So the only way
Yeah.
you can test new stuff is during the race. It would be stupid to sacrifice one car by not giving the car. I mean, everything. I wouldn't be surprised if the car are different. If both the car are different, but they don't know what is working in which car and what it doesn't, because they have tried so much, and they have to try during the free practices. They have to try everything, and so that's why I think it is not supposed to happen. It would be, harakiri for Ferrari, to do that. It will
Yeah,
be.
maybe. Yeah, I've seen them do that kind of thing before, but fair enough. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, the moments were different. If you still have the possibility to test drive the cars and make that work besides the racing. I mean, yeah, okay. If the guy spites you, and especially when the commentator was alive, when he said, yeah, that guy's a piece of shit, don't give me anything. Yeah, of course. I mean, he's the boss, so fuck him. We just give him, use pistols.
Yeah,
but now it is so. It's the lack of development, which is really bizarre. And I would really love that. I think that F1 should rethink the old rules. One of the things, for example, they could look up. So I'm against the balance of performance thing, like in the GT car and stuff like that. I think it's idiotic in F1.
Yeah.
But something like, for example, it happens in GP, where if you have a bike which is not performing as well as the top of the the pack, like the Hondas, the Yamahas and stuff like that, you have you can do tests that the others can't do. So you can develop things.
At least you have a chance. Yeah.
Right. And that, I think, would be a very interesting approach, especially this year, because this year everything has been congealed. You can't basically do anything, and next year people is not really going to do stuff, because 2022 everything is going to change.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If you don't give this opportunity to at least develop what you have in a proper way, and actually developing more than the guys which are ahead, I mean, that would be a good way to shrink the pack a little bit.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I can't see any problem with that, other than, of course, they're trying to bring a cost cap in, and that goes against the cost cap. So, I mean, again, you're back to square one again of, trying to split. Are you going to go with cost caps to try and keep everybody together, or are you going to go with this other thing where you're restricting, car development in some way, or whatever? I mean, personally, when we had like high skinny rear wings, that's when we were getting 70 or 80 overtakes a race.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, I told you 2 or 3 years ago, I would love to see F1 cars without wings.
Oh well, no, that's too much. We got to have wings.
Mechanical traction should be, the thing, and then you add a little bit of wings, but so no, but I right, yeah.
I mean, the cars look great. Don't get me wrong; they look great now. They go great. Like what was, they were like Martin Brundle said, and of course, when I say Martin Brundle, I mean God. He said, if he was driving the Haas at the back of the field, or a Williams at the back of the field, that would be the best race car that he'd ever driven in his career. That's how far the cars have come on. And he drove through the 80s, for goodness sake. And
but you see, so I remember an interview that Gianpaolo Dallara gave not too much time ago, and he was recalling the story of when he got commissioned to make the Indy cars. And I think the second iteration of the Indy cars, they asked him specifically to have a car which would make overtakes easier, so there would be less subject, to aerodynamic turbulences and all that stuff. and and so they faced that problem. They solved it. They actually made a car which was less sensible to all the turbulence of the car in front of you.
Sensitive,
But
yeah.
but they also said, listen, I mean, this can be done up to a certain point. It is feasible. The problem is that it can be done if I am the only one which makes the car, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so what it means to say is that it is almost impossible to set up a set of rules such as that's the end result.
Yeah, I agree. Other than, of course, going to skinny wings, front and rear,
Oh, yeah.
with maybe aerodynamics on the bottom of the cars.
Yeah.
Which is what everybody knows is the solution. Everybody knows it. We've known it since 2011 when they first started saying let's do this. And it worked then. And of course, they covered it with DRS. You know what I mean? So it didn't even show how really the potential of it really was, how great it was. But high rear wing and smaller front end, smaller front wings.
DRS is a thing which makes my blood boil. It's I can't stand DRS. I mean, I understand it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it. Sometimes because you see what it takes.
Yeah.
But it's so. I mean, I so cannot see that. It's beyond me. I don't know. There's something wrong with DRS.
I completely agree. I mean, let's just call it, drag reduction shite.
Yes.
Because that's what it is, and it's a gimmick. And how does it help? Right, that's what I mean. It doesn't help the mid-team battles. If anything, it makes the mid-team battles worse.
Yeah.
Right. And for what? So we get more at the front, more overtaking at the front of the field. Well, we're not getting that anyway. So because the cars are so fast at the front of the field in the gap that they're not even within a second of each other. So again, it just makes a mockery of it, really.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, just get rid of it completely, and at least we'll have decent midfield battles.
I mean, just man, I'm worried. We agreed on so many points this evening. It's kind of
Well, okay, yeah, okay. Let's see if we can do something about that.
talk about tires. Come on.
Oh, every time I'm about to do it, you jump in there first and say, "Oh yeah, he's going to talk about tires."
Yeah, of course he's going to talk about.
Yeah,
tires.
of course. I was about to go to tires.
Yeah, I grab a whiskey while you talk about that.
Thank you very much. So, what can I say? Tires. The problem with tires is they're round and they're black and they're made of rubber. That's the problem with tires. If they have, if they weren't made of rubber and they were made of something else like steel, okay, then I think we'd have a much more unpredictable race. But they're not. They're made of rubber. And actually, Pirelli have done really well this year, I've got to say. I've been actually quite impressed. This race, of course, was under extreme conditions. It was hot at Silverstone, which is unusual. And it is a very unforgiving race or racetrack, because, of course, at Silverstone, it's a very high-speed circuit, average speed of whatever, nearly 160 miles an hour, something like that, I think. I can't remember with the new additions to the corners and stuff exactly what the average speed is, but I'm sure it's
the average was 250 kilometers an hour, average lap.
I don't know. That sounds like some kind of European system.
Well, it's the proper system. Let me convert it in stupid measures. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Add that in good old British pounds and pence, please.
So 250 would be like 155.
155. There you go. I was close. 160, but 155 miles an hour. So in old money, that's 155 miles an hour, which is pretty quick. Obviously, in European standards, that's 250, which is hyper. That's like light speed. But
in Brexit units, that's what you mean.
Yeah, in Brexit money, that's fast. And of course, it is a very wearing circuit on the tires. So of course, we were going to get some teams struggling, and that seemed to be the case through the practices. Mercedes did really struggle the first couple of days of practice, or the first couple of sessions. So I was actually getting quite worried again that this is going to be the case. Now, what this means, of course, is that we're having a double header at Silverstone. Double header, nothing like Dutch meaning. This is purely British meaning, which means we're getting 2 races in a row. And the second race is going to be on even softer tyres.
Yeah.
That's right. So actually, this bodes quite well for the race, doesn't it? Because we're not going to get this one-stop race for sure. I mean, there's no way any team is going to think about a one-stop. It's going to be
They make
2
2
or
stops.
3 stops. And that bodes quite well.
I'm predicting 2 stops, just for the only reason that there would be more rubber on the track, so it should be less aggressive. I think that they can pull it out with 2 stops.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, again, I would imagine 2 stops for the top teams and 3 stops for Haas. But that's just me.
Well, listen, I think that given what has happened so far, if Haas managed to make 3 stops, they should be lucky, because that means that they get at the end.
Yeah, well, there is that as well, and of course Hulkenberg should be on there next week. Although I don't see why it would be any different unless they can't get the star car started again, of course. But then we go, who knows? But at least that'll be an interesting story as well. The tyres will make the next doubleheader really interesting, so I'm hugely looking forward to that. And of course, the circuit is a superb circuit. I mean, some of the shots we were getting through,
beautiful. I love. Yeah, no, you're right. I forgot that. I mean the race direction. The one which managed all the cameras, all the shit. They were fucking amazing. Fucking amazing, and I'm not saying because they didn't put Hamilton, because I mean, it was ahead, everybody knew. They no, I'm serious. They got all the duels, all the shit going on, and a massive use of the helicopter. That was one of the best races to watch in years, if I remember correctly. It was really, really, really good.
Yeah, and it's an easy circuit to get shots out, I've got to say, because virtually every corner is pretty amazing. There's very few that aren't.
It is an easy one, but I mean, you remember as much as I do, the races where they only follow the leader, and that's fucking it.
Oh, yeah. So, going back a few years, yeah. Although, again, it's there was, I don't know, maybe. I think that was some time ago now, and you're talking a long time ago that they were used to do that. And if the leader does disappear into the distance, generally you don't see a lot on TV, and they do try and follow battles rather than just the lead cars. Although again, nowadays with replays are so good and so quick that you're not going to miss much anyway. So. I don't really see it as a huge issue anymore, regardless. Nonetheless, okay. So, is there anything else you'd like to finish up with? What was your Ferrari highlight of the weekend?
Well, not so much as Ferrari. I was super happy for Ricciardo. I was actually really. So I was happy that Lewis won. Because he deserved it. Let me put it this way. I would not have complained if he didn't manage to end the race. Not because of Leclerc coming second, but mostly because of Ricciardo coming third.
Yeah,
because I think he drove a fantastic race. That car, I think they made a huge development in the chassis area. It seems to be a very effective car. I mean, even Ocon was, able to smoke the pink Mercedes, quite well. I wouldn't say quite comfortably, but I mean, was there, and I was also sad for Sainz, because I think he deserved. I mean, he was fourth, right? So, I mean, it was 12 points, and he got no points. So that was. The two things I want to highlight.
Yeah, and I would definitely say I wanted to talk about Renault because they seem to have made a few steps forward. Although, of course, this is their home race. I know they're a French
Yes.
team, but they're based in Enstone, which is literally around the corner from
Mhm.
Silverstone. And so, yeah, you would expect them to do well here. Ocon, of course, finished sixth, I think. And so both of them were up there. Their car obviously suited this track. So maybe, I mean, we'll expect them to do well next week. But then maybe it'll be back to status quo. Who knows? Who knows? And
I know.
that really, to me, says a lot about the McLaren team. Actually, it says
Yes.
more about the McLaren team than it does about anything else, which is how consistent they are over different circuits,
Yeah.
just like Mercedes. So clearly, they've got a great car, and that means that next year they're going to be doing well. And of course, Ricardo next year will be at McLaren. So that's quite exciting, I think.
And they also have two McLaren. They also have two great drivers. I loved when Norris was being pushed by Ricciardo, and there was a team radio. He didn't ask to for Sainz to be overtaken.
Mm.
He told the guys, tell Sainz to push because I've got Ricciardo on my tail. And
Yeah,
I mean, okay, somebody might say, okay, this is what he really meant, tell Sainz to let me go through, but he didn't, and to
yeah,
me, I think the guy is sincere enough to actually have he meant what he said. Tell the
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
to stretch it. Goes, I mean, I'm coming. This guy's coming. I've got to push.
Mm.
So, and this is, I mean, this bodes well to the fact. I think that they have two great drivers. They respect each other. Sainz is a super consistent guy.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be also a nice guy. I haven't heard anybody in the circus complaining about him. I never
Yeah, yeah.
heard anybody saying
Mm-hmm.
shit about the guy. Not like people like Grosjean or even Stroll, that I mean, they were fucking dangerous. Those guys, I mean, they when they moved on the braking, they were fucking dangerous. And I think that people
Mm-hmm.
should talk to them. And I'm not talking about the steward going to talk to them. I'm talking about two or three drivers meeting them in a pub and having a chit chat in the bathroom. You know what I mean? Yeah, right.
Yeah, although of course Grosjean is the driver's representative, so
Yeah,
that's quite ironic, really, that he
right.
does that, and he does it consistently. I mean, consistently does that. Not as much as Verstappen used to do it, but he still does it consistently. And at least
Well,
Verstappen has stopped doing it now.
Okay, Verstappen did something really sketchy in qualifying. He was in the middle of a corner. I can't remember who was coming. I think
Oh
it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And I think that was Grosjean again, wasn't it? Oh no, it was Giovanni.
Yeah, Giovinazzi maybe stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah,
Giovinazzi. Yeah. Well, I can't
yeah,
remember his name now.
yeah.
What's his
Anyway,
name?
yeah, Antonio.
Antonio. That's it. Antonio Giovinazzi.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it was him that was like dawdling about in the middle of 140-mile-an-hour corner. You know what I mean? So I didn't
Yeah.
blame. I thought Verstappen was like relatively calm considering. I would have
No, no,
been
no, no. But
off
I'm
my fucking trolley if I'd come across a car on the racing line
No,
doing
I'm,
140.
I'm thinking about another episode. I'm thinking
Oh,
about
are
the
you?
episode where it was Verstappen in the middle of the corner and somebody else was coming and complained about it. And I
Oh,
can't
okay.
remember if it was Ocon or some other guy. And yeah, if you see the highlights, it's probably there during the qualifying. But
Okay.
anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think some people should have a
I'm talking
friendly
about one of the practice sessions, I think, anyway. But there you go. Okay. All right. So that's fantastic, of course. And, it bodes well for next week because we've got soft tyres. The weather apparently is going to be just as hot, if not hotter. So that's going to make it exciting.
Is
Of
there any
course,
chance for rain?
no, I don't think so.
Fuck.
I mean, there's always a chance of rain, of course. This is
Oh
Britain.
yeah. Sorry.
Of course,
That was a very stupid question.
we could have a monsoon tomorrow. But nonetheless, it's generally speaking, no. I think it's going to be a hot weekend. So yeah, it looks that way. But you never know. So yeah, no, it's going to be an exciting race. Of course, being the second one, all the teams will be on their medal, so the chances are it's going to be a copy paste, and that bodes well because the race was pretty good. We had good midfield battles. There was lots of excitement due to strategy, and so I think it's going to be more of the same. And I think Red Bull will be a bit faster because they will trim their car out slightly.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard for them to be slower, especially Albon. Albon, I think, has the same life expectancy of a car on a highway. Because, okay, this is another thing I forgot to mention.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the reason why Verstappen was forced to get in and change tires to have the fastest lap was because he had the fastest lap, and Albon took it away from him.
Yeah.
So talk about karma being a bitch. It's
yeah, for sure.
One last thing, and then I shut up because I've heard people complaining about next Wednesday. They had a filming session. Ferrari has a filming session, stuff, and people have been complaining. Oh yeah, well they're going to try stuff. I mean, it's total bullshit. For two reasons. The first one is that it's 100 kilometers only, so it's basically nothing. And the second one is that anybody which have been involved and have seen the kind of shit, they know that basically what happens is the car driving by with another car in front of him with cameras. So there is literally nothing you can try. It's nothing.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you've got some updates, you can slap them on and you can get some idea of how they're working, but nothing really substantial. So
you get no data, no useful data whatsoever.
I wouldn't say you get no data. But you can get some data. Red Bull are famous for being able to do these presentations and get data for their cars and make useful upgrades. So it can be done, but it's no more than a backup. It's no more than we thought that was going to happen. It did happen, so yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't make too much difference either way. And as you say, the distance isn't very far. If Ferrari have got some upgrades for their car, then it's an extra chance to try it before the Thursday practice or Friday practice as it is now, and that can be useful sometimes. But again,
I mean,
I don't think we're in the middle of a back-to-back, for goodness sake. So
right. I mean,
how much are you going to get from that? You know what I mean?
Oh, nothing. Besides the fact that I can imagine you can slap something like a new wing and be sure that it doesn't fall off at 100 miles per hour. Which you make it in the pit lane. So okay.
Well, I mean, it's a bit more than that because you can give it some, but nonetheless, I completely agree with you. It's not going to be the make and break of the team, that's for sure. In past years, I would say, again, Red Bull have managed to do those things. They've tested flexible wings, they've tested engine upgrades, they've tested all sorts of things on those filming days. But then the rules were different for the filming days even back then. So
I think they had no limit about the kilometers they could go, for example.
Probably not.
Because I remember filming days in what the fuck was 2003, 2000. Yeah, I mean, so Schumacher was still in Ferrari, and I remember filming days made by the McLaren in Valencia, and and those guys were actually they were driving all day, right? Every so often there were cameras around, so I could see how that might have happened in those days. But now with those, I think it's just
okay. Fair enough. Well, good luck to them anyway. They could do with it. So if they do manage to bring some upgrades and they work because of that, then more power to them as far as I'm concerned. Because I want to see Ferrari back up at the front. It's not the same without them. It never would be the same without Ferrari up there giving it some. I'm really glad Leclerc finished third. It's a huge boost for him, and hopefully it'll give him a lot of confidence. And he can go on and do the same next race. If
Yeah,
not,
let's see. Let's see what the fuck if Mercedes managed to fuck it up properly this time.
I somehow doubt it, but there we go. I hope not, because obviously I'm rooting hard for Hamilton. I want to root Hamilton hard. That's what I'm saying to everybody out there, and I want to leave it on that. So, ciao, Fabio. Thank you very much indeed, and we'll see you all
Ciao.
next week.